Welcome back, team, to Tribe Core Home Session 2. So we're going to begin with a warm-up. So once again, the warm-up's the same. So starting with doing 30 seconds of posterior lunges, hinge twists, pike planks, prone raises, lateral squats, and Everest steps. And then you'll go through that one more time. Feel free to watch the videos following this that go over each warm-up exercise once again, or skip ahead and you can start the warm-up if you'd like. Posterior lunge. The exercise looks like this. So, for the posterior lunge, the main benefit is total body integration, high metabolic demand, as well as hip stability and mobility. So for this exercise, you're going to be standing in that nice tall tribe ready stance. You're going to be stepping back with that leg, stepping back, bending 90-degree angles in the front and the back, standing up nice and tall, coming back to the start position and going to the other side. For the rep count, left and right is 1 for this exercise. Some common faults is excessive lumbar flexion, so leaning over, as well as the hips through that frontal plane. Also, allowing that knee to come past the ankle or internally rotate in. So for this exercise, some cues you want to think about is staying nice and tall, spine nice and long, making sure that you keep those hips parallel to the floor. As you step back, you're going to make sure nice alignment through that knee and ankle of the front leg, as well as driving off the heel in that front leg to come back to that start position. The way you can progress and regress this one is through that range of motion and speed. And that is the posterior lunge. Hinge twists. The exercise looks like this. So the main benefit of the hinge twist is that movement preparation, as well as thoracic mobility and hip stability. So you're going to be in that tribe ready stance, sitting back in those hips, nice soft knees, allowing that right arm to go to that left knee, and then opening up, having your eyes follow, and then going to the other side. So for this one, every time you do left and right is 1 repetition. Some common faults is excessive flexion or extension. So you're going to make sure that you keep the long spine, shoulders away from the ears, keeping your hips in that neutral position. And the way you're going to progress and regress this movement preparation exercise is through range of motion. How far can you open up? How far over can you twist? It's really up to you. You should be progressing though as you go through it. And that is the hinge twist. Pike plank. The exercise looks like this. So for the pike plank, the main benefit is shoulder and hip stability, mobility, as well as strengthening through that anterior core and lengthening through that posterior chain. So your start position is going to be in that nice, strong plank position. You're going to have your hands shoulder width apart, shoulders over those palms, core nice and tight. Then you're going to lift up those hips, tapping, same toe, same arm, just tapping that toe, and then coming back down to that start position to that plank. So every time you bring your hips up to that pike is 1 repetition. Some common faults for this one is shoulders shrugging or be elevated, or excessive lumbar extension. So in that plank position, allowing those hips to fall. So you're gonna make sure you have your shoulders away from your ears, nice long, spine core nice and tight, driving those heels into the floor, tapping back and coming back to that start position. The way you can progress and regress this one is through load, so time under tension, as well as your range of motion. Prone raises. The exercise is going to look like this. So for the prone raises, the main benefit is going to be that shoulder and hip stability as well as control and strengthening through the posterior core. So for the start position, you're going to be on your knees and your hands on the floor. So you're going to have those hands and those dumbbells for the exercise, and you're going to make sure that core is nice and tight. You're then going to bring up that left arm, dumbbell facing up, bringing that foot up, and then coming back down to that start position and doing the same thing on the opposite side. So left and right is the rep count is 1 repetition for this exercise. Some common faults for this one is going to be that lumbar extension, so allowing those hips to roll forward, also shrugging of the shoulders when you're trying to lift that weight up. So maybe think about what weight you're using. If you feel that you're trying to throw the weight up, or you feel your shoulders or you're compromising your form in that exercise. So for this, you want to make sure you keep a nice long spine, shoulders away from the ears, creating tension through that midsection for this exercise. So the way you can progress and regress this is through load and range of motion. And that's the prone raises. Lateral squats. The exercise looks like this. So, for the lateral squats, the main benefit is total body duration as well as high metabolic demand, as well as hip mobility and stability and shoulder mobility. So for the start position, you're going to be facing your path of travel, except it's going to be your shoulder facing that path of travel. You're going to be stepping out laterally, having those elbows go towards those hips or towards those knees. Then you're going to be bringing that foot in, bringing those arms up above the head, and then stepping out again for that other repetition, moving down that path of travel. So for the rep count, it is distance traveled. However, you want to make sure that you do half on one side and then half on the other side. So some common faults for this one is very similar to what you would see in a squat. So either rolling those knees in, excessive lumbar flexion for this exercise, not bringing your arms up above the head. So you want to think about nice tall spine, leading with those hips, thinking about squeezing those glutes, pushing those knees out, bringing those arms up, keeping those shoulders away from the ears for this exercise. And the way you can progress and regress this one is through speed and range of motion. And that is the lateral squat. First step, the exercise looks like this. So for the Everest step, the main benefit is that hip mobility. So to start this position, you're going to be in that nice strong plank position, shoulders over palms on those toes. You're then going to bring that right foot to that right hand, planting it, opening up through those hips, and then going back to that start position, and then going to that opposite side. So every time you do left and right for this exercise is 1 repetition. Some common faults for this one is not keeping that nice long spine, shrugging through the shoulders. So you're going to make sure you stay nice and tall, keeping those hips square to the floor, not allowing yourself to roll over to one side. So the progression and regression for this one is range of motion, and that is the Everest step. Okay, let's start with this warm-up. 3, 2, 1, and go. Okay, team, now that we're feeling warm, we're going to be looking at the workout for today. So today we're going to continue to focus on the muscles that support the function of the spine, along with the muscles that stabilize the hips and shoulders. So there are going to be 2 stations that are completed twice using a different formula for each round. So for round 1, station 1, you're going to perform 60 seconds of each exercise listed from top to bottom, followed by 30 seconds of each. Allow 30 seconds rest and then advance to station 2. For station 2, this station shares the same formula as station 1 using different exercises. At the end of station 2, allow 60 seconds rest and move to the next round. Now looking at round 2. So for station 1, for 8 minutes using our ATAC as many times as you can formula, you're going to perform continuous rounds of each of the exercises listed from top to bottom. You're going to allow 30 seconds rest. At the end of the 8 minutes, record your score. Also note that the reps for each exercises will be 6, except for the traveling exercises. This will be 12.5 meters. So, looking at the score, this will be the total number of completed rounds plus the completed exercises on the incomplete rounds. So, for example, if Danielle completes 6 full rounds of each exercise plus 12.5 meters of lateral squats and 6 pike planks on her 7th round, her score will be 6.5. Then looking at station 2. This station shares the same formula as station 1 using different exercises. At the end of station 2, record your score. Once the stations are complete, move straight to the mobility sequence. So now let's look at the 2 new exercises today, dumbbell single deadlift rows and 1-arm kettlebell swings. Dumbbell single deadlift row, the exercise looks like this. So the main benefit for this one is ankle, knee, and hip stability, as well as strengthening through that posterior chain, so the back side of the body, and that hip mobility. So to begin this exercise, you're going to be in that tri-ready stance, only having 1 dumbbell. So I'm going to hold my dumbbell on my right hand, and the hand that has the dumbbell is the leg that stays planted throughout this exercise before going to the next side. So you're going to then slowly lift up that leg, allowing your hips to sit back, nice soft knees, bring that dumbbell down, core nice and tight. Then you're going to begin 1 row, and then standing up nice and tall. So if you notice, I kind of shifted, but what helps you too is if you have that kind of counterbalance arm out to help you keep that nice controlled movement throughout that exercise. And for the rep count for this one, everything you do on the left, you must do on the right. And depending on the prescription of the workout, or it could be for time. Some common faults for this are very similar to a deadlift or the dumbbell deadlift row that we do in this season, but loss of control, keeping that nice long spine, shoulders away from the ears, retracting those shoulders, keeping that core nice and tight, especially through this one. And the way you can progress and regress this one is through the load, so load of the dumbbell as well as the range of motion. And that is the dumbbell single deadlift row. 1-arm kettlebell swing. The exercise looks like this. And perform on the opposite side. So, the main benefit of the 1-arm kettlebell swing is very similar just to the normal kettlebell swing. Toe bar integration, high metabolic demand, as well as strengthening through that posterior chain. So, you're going to start in the tri-ready stance with that kettlebell in one hand. You're going to, very similar to the kettlebell swing, you want to think about sitting back in those hips, hinging back in those hips, driving through those heels, bringing that kettlebell up to shoulder height. For this one, since we're using 1 arm, you're going to think about having your thumb go in and then back up parallel to the floor. So if you can see my thumb. So in and parallel with the floor. So the rep count for this is every time you swing is 1, but everything you do on the left, you must do on the right. And so some common faults, very similar to the normal kettlebell swing, is that hip hinge motion. Some people want to squat, shoulders coming up up to the ears, or people are trying to bear the weight through their arms when you should be powering it through that lower body. So the way you can progress and regress this one is once again through low. And that is the 1-arm kettlebell swing. Okay team, now that we've learned the 2 new exercises for today, make sure that you go over each and familiar yourself with each of those. Also, to get the most benefit out of this formula, timing is very important. We want to use very slow and purposeful movement. This safely increases the stress on the muscles, which increases muscle fatigue. With muscle fatigue, we require increased stability and strength to the target areas of our body, creating a strong and stable pillar for strength through our core. Remember, this is important to self-coach and ensure that you are moving with integrity. Reset at any time, safety and quality of movement first. Also, feel free to put a timer on your phone or use a stopwatch. So we're going to begin this workout. 3, 2, 1, and go. Okay, team, I hope you guys had a wonderful workout. So now let's move into this mobility sequence for 4 minutes. You're going to continue through these 4 exercises. If any of these aren't familiar, stay tuned because I have the videos after this portion. Hip openers. The exercise is going to look like this. So for the hip openers, it's going to be a movement preparation as well as hip mobility. So for this, your start position is you're going to be in that tri-ready stance with your back facing the path of travel. So then you're going to bring that left knee up in line with that left hip, externally draw a circle back, stepping down, and then starting with that other leg for this motion. So the rep count for this is going to be for distance traveled or time, just depending on the workout or what's prescribed in the workout. So some common faults for this exercise is loss of control or stability. So you want to make sure that you stay up nice and tall, bring that knee up, stay nice and stable, and stepping back. The way you can progress and regress this exercise is through range of motion. And that is the hip openers. Hinge twists. The exercise looks like this. So the main benefit of the hinge twist is that movement preparation as well as thoracic mobility and hip stability. So you're going to be in that tri-ready stance, sitting back in those hips, nice soft knees, allowing that right arm to go to that left knee, and then opening up, having your eyes follow, and then going to the other side. So for this one, every time you do left and right is 1 repetition. Some common faults is excessive flexion or extension. So you're going to make sure that you keep the long spine, shoulders away from the ears, keeping your hips at neutral position. And the way you're going to progress and regress this movement preparation exercise is through range of motion. How far can you open up? How far over can you twist? It's really up to you. You should be progressing though as you go through it. And that is the hinge twist. Kneeling open sagittal. The exercise looks like this. So for this exercise, the main benefit is movement preparation as well as hip mobility and shoulder mobility and working through that frontal plane. So you're going to begin by starting in that 90-degree angle on the knees, both knees. For this exercise, shoulders down away from the ears. You're then going to fluidly move those hips forward, bringing that left arm up, and then coming back down to that start position. So start position to start position is 1 repetition. Everything you do on the left, you must do on the right. For this, some common cues or common faults is excessive lumbar extension and flexion. So you want to think about keeping that nice long spine. That extension is coming through that hip, not that lumbar, that back. Bringing up that arm, keeping that shoulder though down and back away from the ears as you do that motion. So for the progression and regression, it is range of motion. Cross rolls. The exercise is going to look like this. And then you perform on the other side. So, for cross rolls, the main benefit is a movement preparation exercise as well as hip mobility and lengthening through those lateral lines. So you're going to be, to start this position, you're going to be sitting on the floor, sitting up nice and tall, hands on the floor. You're then going to cross that left leg over that right leg. You're then going to roll and initiate that movement to that same side that your leg is on top. So we're going to go to the left here. Think about pushing your knees away, so it's going to be lengthening through those lateral lines of that bottom leg, and then coming back to that start position. So for the rep count here, from start position to start position is 1 repetition. However, everything you do on one side, you must do on the other side. Some common faults here is shoulder shrugging, rounding up the back, loss of control. So for this, some cues, you want to make sure that you're sitting up nice and tall, shoulders away from the ear, nice long spine, chest up, and allowing yourself to stay seated on your booty throughout the entire exercise. And the progression and regression for this one is range of motion. So really only go to where your range is. If it's here, if it's down here, whatever works for you, it will progress over time in this exercise. Okay, let's start the mobility sequence. 3, 2, 1, and go.